Hey, it's Suzanne, and this is my second application presentation. And for this application presentation, I chose National Geographic Kids.com, and it's kids.nationalgeographic.com is the website that you access for this. And here we are. I went ahead and navigated to National Geographic Kids, and we are looking at the home page, and as you can see, they've got it queued up because Groundhog's Day is tomorrow. And I chose this website because last time I did ABCYA, and that was ELA and math based, and I thought this time I would do a more science-based application. I've actually used this to do research for some science lessons that I've worked on planning out in the past, and this has proven to be a very good resource. I especially like to use it for the grades 2 through 5. And before I start talking about how there's different aspects that fit into the different Georgia standards, I thought I would talk about how the content on this page would help with the ISTE standards, and just the 3 that I picked that seem the most compatible and the most supported with this website is the first is the Empowered Learners Standard, which states that students can use technology to seek feedback that informs and improves their practice and to demonstrate their learning in a variety of ways. This website definitely would do that. It has tons of information about science, and that would definitely support the information and learning. It would help kids be knowledge constructors, for sure. There's tons of information that's research-based, and it's presented very nicely on this website. It's easy and accessible for kids to understand. And then the last would help the kids be creative communicators. I see this being used for student research. They could take this information and incorporate it into a PowerPoint or a presentation, or, if they were doing a research paper that they needed to do research for, this website would definitely provide tons of information for them to do so. And the other thing that I wanted to point out with this website is that, within the Georgia Science Standards, there are 3 main categories: life science, earth space science, and then physical science. National Geographic Kids really has a ton of information to support earth space science and life science. And the first thing I'm going to show you is down here. We don't even have to go into any of these tabs, because as you can see right here, there's all different types of information on different types of animals and insects, and that actually supports a 5th grade science standard, which is to obtain, evaluate, and communicate information to group organisms according to scientific classification procedures. So the scientific classification is the kingdom, the domain, kingdom, genus, class, phylum, all the way down to species. So as we see here, we have that here. We have invertebrates, which goes into this next substandard. It's develop a model that illustrates how animals are sorted into groups, vertebrate and invertebrate here, and how vertebrates is sorted into groups, which are fish, amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal. And then you use data. The tag, the end part of the sentence is using data from multiple sources. Well, here is a source. It has everything separated into the different classifications. So this is a great resource, and we've already started out, and we haven't even actually gone into any of these pages because here's the information right here. So this is a great resource for the 5th graders. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Earth space science. And that is here. And one of the things that I noticed with the Georgia Standards of Earth Space Science is that 2nd and 4th grade are very similar to each other in that they want you to know, they want the 2nd graders and the 4th graders to know about stars and planets. They want the kids to be able to know about the different classifications of the stars. That would be your red giants and your white dwarfs and all that. They also want the kids to know that the sun is the closest star in our solar system, in our galaxy. And right here, there's information that kids can go to and just access the information. And then specifically, one of the standards is to find out, this is the 2nd grade standard. The 4th grade is very similar to the 2nd grade, but I'm going to read the 2nd grade, is to obtain, evaluate, and communicate information about stars having different sizes and brightnesses. And then they would need to ask questions to describe the physical attributes of the stars, which they can do that. I think it says here that our sun is a middle-aged star. And then it talks about the different, there's a place where it talks about the different types of stars. That's on a different page. And then the last one, the last standard is to construct an argument that supports the claim that although the sun appears to be the brightest and the largest because it's closest to us in our solar system, it's actually a medium-sized star and in brightness. And you can see here, there's a lot of content that supports this standard and this information. So the 2nd and 4th graders could come here and find that information, and it would be right there. Where the 2nd and the 4th grade standard diverges is that they want the 4th graders to know more specific information about the planets. So this portion of National Geographic Kids explains that to them. There are different requirements that planets have to meet to be considered a planet. They go into it here. You can see here, all this verbiage right here is talking about what the requirements are that a planet has to meet in order to be considered a planet. And you could see here, Pluto actually was downgraded, and they explain a dwarf planet and why they chose to do that there. And if they wanted to know more information about a dwarf planet, they could come right here and check out all the specifications that are listed there. It's all listed in there. The other thing that the 4th grade science standard states is that they want the kids to know specifics about the different planets in our solar system. They want to know they want the kids to be able to say, you know, Mars is a rocky planet. Earth is a rocky planet, and then they want the kids to be able to say that Uranus is a gaseous planet. Just basics, but they still want the kids to know the difference so they can find all of that information right there. It's specified for them on those pages. The next thing I'm going to go into is regarding the 3rd grade science standard that talks about fossils. And this standard is to obtain, evaluate, and communicate information on how fossils provide evidence of past organisms. So you can see here, here's dinos and prehistoric. This whole page here. And you can see here, just a quick overview about what they're going to talk about on this page and in all of these different tabs. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to go to Hidden Fossils, Enter the Dinosaur Death Pit. I think that's kind of a funny title. It's definitely intriguing. The kids love, with the number of hits, let me go back and show you guys. With the number of hits, you can see that they really seem to like that description there. So I was looking, and there's information here about the T-Rex. That's a specific organism that lived in our ancient environment. And, you know, they talk about the Brachiosaurus. They talk about, there was a different type of T-Rex that they talked about. The crested, the crested dragon. But you can tell, they talk about the different types of dinosaurs that inhabited our Earth. And they talk about here, the way that they use the fossils to identify the different types of organisms. Like you can see the bony frill with the Triceratops, and the T-Rex had the short arms but sharp teeth. So all of those specifications are listed here. And then also within these other dinosaur pages, and they can go in and look at the specifics for each type of dinosaur here and the fossils that would tell them about each of these dinosaurs. Then I'm going to move to a different standard here. This is a 5th grade standard that is to obtain, evaluate, and communicate information to identify surface features on the Earth caused by constructive or destructive forces. And I thought here is a national treasures for the national park. This tab has a lot of information about the land features just in America. So I thought it was a good resource for the kids to be able to come and see and identify the different landforms that are here in America. And as you can see, like the Grand Canyon is an option that they can look into. And the Grand Canyon, you know, that is a destructive force. It represents a destructive force because it was formed over time through erosion. And then down here with the Hawaii Volcano National Park, you can see the volcanoes, and with the lava, it's actually destructive and constructive. And then down here in Yosemite, with those different landforms, you can see how they were formed over time. And so the kids can just come in and look around and check out about the landforms that are here in the United States. And the last thing I'm going to show you is back to a 4th grade standard. And I have to go and do a search. So what I'm going to do is just type in weather here because I want to know about weather. So it's going to bring up some different articles. And what I want to share with you is about predicting the weather. This standard that I'm going to tell you about it's 4th grade. It is obtain, evaluate, and communicate information to predict weather events and infer weather patterns using weather charts, maps, and collected weather data. And the substandard is construct an explanation of how weather instruments, thermometer, rain gauge, barometer, and wind vane, are used in gathering weather data and making forecasts. So right here, you can see you don't need a weather app to predict rain or shine, you just need nature. So you could go and, oh, wrong one, sorry, let's see, which one is it? It was make a weather station, pardon me. It is this, make a weather station. So here it is, you can make your own weather stations, and it's telling them how to build equipment themselves. And I know, actually, my son did a rain gauge, made a rain gauge in the 4th grade. And you can see right here, It tells the kids how to make their own rain gauge. You can do a barometer,